What up, y'all? It's Queen KZK. You already know what to do by now. Not only watch my videos, hit that like, that subscribe button on both Instagram and YouTube. I'm sure all of you who already watched and liked and subscribed on Instagram and YouTube, I really, first of all, thank you for that. And you see my last half an hour podcast on the road to Money in the Bank for over the last few weeks with that half an hour podcast to be able to watch and enjoy and subscribe on YouTube along with the subscribing button that's on there and the podcast playlist that comes along with it. There's also a rapping video for you to see and a Raw and a SmackDown on and off of Monday Night Raw that's happened so far that I added on there for you guys to watch and enjoy as well. I was talking about the updations and stuff of the albums and the playlist and everything. And I mentioned that it was on the road to Money in the Bank, even though I released the video today, that it was for that half an hour podcast over the last few weeks, so you don't get confused of what's happening, what's going on, what I'm talking about in the podcast. That's why that is, with everything getting backed up. And I promised you, and here I am today, achieving and making that promise. Like I said, doing the second podcast for over the last 2 weeks, as I said, after Money in the Bank, and gonna release that. So go ahead and watch, like, and subscribe, and check out that podcast video. And on Instagram, YouTube, follow for this podcast as well as where that was on the road to Money in the Bank 3 weeks. This is on the road after Money in the Bank. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna start off right here, getting right into it, just diving in. We're gonna start off with this. Over the last Monday Night Raw, Matt Riddle with a WWE exclusive interview as he got revenge on the Imperial for injuring his ankle, and then had Drew McIntyre to help him tag team up against Gunther, who tried to take advantage of an injured man, but wasn't ready for 100% Scottish Psychopath to return to challenge him for the Intercontinental Championship. Is what he's looking at, and Gunther doesn't want any part of it, and beating him in a tag team match this last Monday Night Raw, really getting in Gunther's head for Drew McIntyre's versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship belt, that maybe he's the one to dethrone him from that Intercontinental Championship belt. Seth freakin Rollins updating as World Heavyweight Champion with the injured ribs over Dominic, including no voodoo dust from Rhea Ripley, our Women's Champion, was going to stop him, nor the attack from Finn Balor beating him at Money in the Bank was going to stop him, or Shinsuke Nakamura, who is the artist of Monday Night Raw, and anything that he appears on, former NXT Champion, Intercontinental Champion, you name it. He is the artist of whatever brand and show that he is on at all times. And Reed been such a destruction and a dominator since Omos on Raw lately. Talk about giants and destruction like Big Show and Mark Green. They got Omos and Reed. The American Nightmares had enough of Dominic's shenanigans, attacking him, defeating him finally at the Money in the Bank to make up for it, and getting his hands on Brock Lesnar, who's been making an example out the last few weeks in the first place, too. Ronda Rousey, one half of the Tag Team One Champion. Raquel really put up a hell of a fight and match at one prime time for the Women's Championship belt as well, against Shayna and Ronda, who remain as such Tag Team Champions. And you see right here, it just gets better and better. Whole kind of conclusions going on here. Head swirling around. When she had three heads like an owl, they get spinning all around. World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins getting revenge on Finn Balor for attacking last Monday Night Raw, accepting his challenge at the Money in the Bank. And Carmelo not letting them get away with this, taking a steel chair out of their hand after the loss of that night. Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, always on the same page for a very long time. Along with the Imperial just lurking on everyone they can. And you've seen this a couple times with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley before the Money in the Bank, face to face, after the Money in the Bank, putting them on watch, and during a Monday Night Raw show. Training so hard and so much for Big Time has become Miss Money in the Bank. But she did get her revenge, though, on Trish Stratus and Zoe Starks at the Money in the Bank for everything they've been putting her through. So, and apparently it's getting under the skin of Rhea Ripley, who's been having her eyes set on big time bets because she knows at one time or point they're going to be heading face to face for that women's championship belt sooner or later. Carmelo's first match on Monday Night Raw since he's been on with the NXT against Finn Balor, who would challenge him, the leader of the Judgment Day in the first place, with the American Nightmare to be a part of that tag team action to dominate and beat and destroy and finally just silence within the processing moment of the Judgment Day. And so that would wrap up the results of that Monday Night Raw with my Raw predictions that you probably see on my last podcast. I did the Raw predictions. This podcast was the Raw results of it. As I said, I was connecting these. That was for the 3 weeks podcast. This is for the 2 weeks podcast. That was 2 Money in the Bank. This is after Money in the Bank. So you're still on the same page of what's going on. Just for the those of you who just tuned in or trying to skip through to see what's going on. Just skip through the video instead of watching it through, so you understand what's happening and what the process is doing, and that it makes perfectly good sense. And I'm still getting it done. My podcast over the last 3 weeks and 2 weeks, and before and after Money in the Bank as well, and including WWE exclusive interviews. Now it was the month with Trish Stratus, a Hall of Famer, a legendary, a 6-time women's champion, was in her first Money in the Bank, and like I was talking about the Outbreak character of Zoe Starks getting to be an NXT Women's Champion, NXT Tag Team Women's Champion, getting to be a part of a Hall of Fame legendary that laid out the carpet for people like her to wrestle on Monday Night Raw. Her first pay-per-view at Night of Champions, technically, even though she wasn't in the match, but she got involved. And now you get to work with a Hall of Fame legend like Trish Stratus on the bump as well, and beat one of the horsewomen big time backs on Monday Night Raw. Breakout star Zoe Starks is dominating on Monday Night Raw. I said that before, but I wanted to mention it again because it's so huge, and I would love to be in her shoes right now. I can see you sweating jealousy right now because that's a big opportunity. That's a big moment. That's something huge of what's going on around here. And what you build to be able to have moments and what you work for to have moments and opportunities like that in the WWE. That's what it's all about. That's exactly what you work for and put your heart to when you're training, when you're working out, when you're trying to get to the wrestling center and going through the schools or whatever whatever school that you came from, and then you get into the NXT or Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Impact Wrestling. That is what the World Wrestling can bring, moments like that it definitely, the hard work does pay off. And that is huge to talk about, to brag about, and to be in reality and speak about. And then we had on our character, our NXT Women's Champion, Tiffany. I mean, everyone's like, boo, they have their own opinion and stuff. But she is an NXT Women's Champion. She's dominated every woman that's come to her so far, celebrating that an av character. You got to give her props to her, the celebration that she deserves, because no one's been able to stop her yet. So you got to give her a pat on the back, and you got to give her those props, whether you like it or not. And also, we talked about, I can talk about Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch all day long, all night long. But World Heavyweight Champion Seth freakin Rollins on a little snag, challenging British versus American food since we were in London at Money in the Bank. And then Big Time Bex and him was also on the Today Show, and just a snack curiosity and general challenge. That's just what I'm going to mention right now because it was fun. It was wrestlers just having a little fun, showing that they're human beings at the end of the day, that they're not on a pedestal outside of that ring. They're human just like you and I. So just to watch that and see that and enjoy that is really cool. And it's really, it can acknowledge me, and as Roman Reigns would say, acknowledge me. Well, how about acknowledge it? Acknowledge it. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge the intel of Seth freaking Rollins as World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw, and Big Time Bex, always the fire that puts the red into the color of the brand on Monday Night Raw. Much like the Usos put the blue in the fire and SmackDown, as Roman is the Universal WWE Undisputed Champion of Raw. How about the ruling of Raw and what comes along with it? Because you can't have a show without lights, cameras, and action because it'd be pure dark and you wouldn't be able to see a damn thing. So that makes perfect sense. It comes together. And how about two things? How about it takes a couple to make the processing of it, the processing of the show and the reality and what we enjoy and the entertainment that comes along with it. So that is pretty much what I gotta say about that. I think I broke a sweat talking all that. I speak truth and I speak facts and I get right to the point. Sometimes being around the bushes a little bit depends on the situation and what's going on because there's so much to say in such a little time that you just have to keep rambling and keep going and it's just like, it's not enough time. And then when you think it's enough time, it's not enough time to get what you want to say out. So you just got to go with it and you just got to flow with it and get to the point of what's happening and what's going on. So you're not like, well, you didn't never finish your sentence. You finish your sentence with a period and a there, and that's your period. That's your sentence. That's your parentheses that you can keep rolling and keep going in tongue rolls because there's so many things to talk about within that moment, within that process. And there's so many things that's going on, so much that is happening, and it's just going to keep getting busier and busier, and it does. And sometimes it's like, what the hell is going on? We've got on the road to Money in the Bank the last 3 weeks. We got on the 2 weeks now. This is after Money in the Bank. We are on a roll and on a process, and it's going real, and it's sliding real easy. It's just about that keeping up with the flow. And I have done that, and also done what I said, keeping my promise to you guys. So, pat on the back to myself, like I would put on a pat back to you guys who already liked and subscribe, and who would know that I said that, and who are watching the last podcast, so you can subscribe and like and watch this podcast. So, with that being said, everything that happened like I was talking about with Tiffany on NXT, and on the bump, and Zoe Starks on the bump, Becky and Seth on the Today Show. I was talking about with the Raw breakout character and the Raw legends and the Raw superstar from NXT, and then with the NXT Women's Champion on that character, that would bring me to everything that happened on and off of NXT because a lot of superstars have either gone back to it or we know from Raw and SmackDown that are appearing on it. Most of them came from the NXT that have been appearing on it lately, though. See, we had the costing of the NXT Women's Championship opportunity for her of the trade script last week would have picked up the victory this week to make up for it. And Corbin finding the lone wolf that he was on NXT made him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial, Mr. Money in the Bank, in the first place, a boxing true black belt champion on NXT, finding himself and Ali, who was a wrestler, the United States champion, then the Retribution, going back to NXT, finding his way towards Leslie for the North American champion, much like Balor is going after Carmella for the NXT championship belt. And of course, with Dominic and Damien being there, you can imagine Seth is going to have his back along with Twist since he had Seth's back when he was on NXT. You can imagine he's going to return the favor. This is just a little 2K 2023 wrestling game, but takes 3. I just want to show off my new guys I made called Snake because I'm very creative with the men what that I make and the creativity of the people on my 2K 2023. I think it's awesome to just watch and enjoy that. And then this would be the reality of Raw and SmackDown together, but of course I had to add extra. Corey Graves like my comment. I love Corey Graves of the commentary on Monday Night Raw after the bell doing his podcast. I just want to put a little extra in there that the hard work does truly pay off. Brett Baggers like my comment. It has nothing to do with wrestling, but it has something to do with wrestling because it's about dreams coming true, moments that you have to admire and that you have to enjoy little things like that. We got next month in August, Mercedes Moné, as you know her as Sasha Banks. Mercedes Moné, you know her as former Raw Women's five actually, technically, former five-time Women's Raw Champion. She is a Grand Slam SmackDown Women's Champion. She is the first ever Tag Team Women's Champion in WWE history. She's been in dominating matches such as the first ever Royal Rumble, Hell in a Cell, and a Falls Count Anywhere match. One of the Horsewomen, former NXT champion that built NXT on her back to be able to process it through. Since we're talking about the NXT everything on and after, I had to mention that Mercedes Moné is going to be on the movie collection next month in August. Now she's been Japanese wrestling there that brought her to where she is now, and she's been champion already over there and knocking skulls and heads around and still dominant as she is. I showed you on my card in the last one, getting cards like Mercedes Moné, either like that as Sasha Banks, or I don't know if you can see that right there, Mercedes Moné shirt and hat. The process of her NXT Women's Champion, and Mercedes, and then Raw Women's Champion as Sasha Banks, and you got Mercedes Moné right there. You can go on the WWE Network and buy it for $25, 50% off on Raw and SmackDown days. And you can watch her on Peacock when you can check out the Japanese World Wrestling Federation. With that being said, let's keep this up. Let's keep it moving. I wanted to thank we could talk about Finn Balor for a minute because he was on After the Bell, and he's a big character between the Prince on NXT and around the world. He's been the Prince NXT champion, came back as the Bullet Club member, and still NXT champion afterwards at that destructive moment in match, and that I think was one of the greatest NXT moments that you could possibly think of because it was an awesome match. And he's been Intercontinental champion, he's been United States champion, and now he's part of the leader of the Judgment Day dominating group on Monday Night Raw. So after the bell with him, Finn Balor returning back to NXT and never losing his touch, and then winning the match on top of it, really shows that he is the Prince and never lost a beat and never lost a skip, and that maybe you should be paying a little bit of attention. You may not like the team, but he does have a lot of things that he's saying that is right and that goes with the flow. And then you have Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, been United States champion, and he's been that arrow that hasn't been able to be broken on NXT as well. So with him returning to NXT, he's like the muscle of the group. And then everybody loves Mommy, the first NXT Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. And she has been so dominant, so destructive. And then she is, winning Royal Rumbles. She's World Heavyweight Champion. She's returned to NXT, and everybody just giving her that grace and that pat on the back. So, with the Judgment Day, with it being so dominant, it is a group that can't be stopped on Monday Night Raw, and it is a family. Saw the ups and downs, but they came together and dominated on NXT where they never lost their beats and never lost their step where they started, and got the same amount of respect, more respect on NXT in my opinion than they do on Raw. With that being said, let's get to I was talking about the Usos on the Netflix movie. Raw Tag Team Champion. They've been dominant. They've been the reason, a part of this bloodline destructing SmackDown and taking things into their own hands as the Usos have been by each other's side since day one. I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about Big Time Match and on the Snap thing just because it was fun and it was easy to watch. Because it was, talking about the British and the Americans since we was in London. Like, I want to try some of that and other stuff. And kind of like, I don't think I would even go for that. So just the bravery outside of the ring and she doesn't even know it, but she is Big Time Bex for a reason. My Money in the Bank and SmackDown prediction. My last minute Money in the Bank finalized prediction as well. So my SmackDown prediction is I think that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will remain as Raw and SmackDown. And they did have a pretty deadly tonight. I think that Raquel and Liv Morgan will get an NXT, one half of the NXT, one half of the WWE. They got the WWE Tag Team Championships opportunity and won it.
And I also think that the Usos with them getting the better of Solo last week and the week before for the attack and the betrayal.
Revenge of Solo for attacking him. Revenge of Solo for last week, including Roman for everything she endured, so that the bloodline is getting in a war with the Usos.
With these brawls and these matches and kind of wars like this.
And no amount of security guards, referee can break them apart.
Stronger, heavier than most cases in this situation. And that would be my tonight
SmackDown predictions.
And also
true,
I think that Charlotte will become a 15-time women's
She was so close before Bianca Belair took things into her own matter, but you can't blame her. Because Bianca Belair was promised the opportunity. Charlotte gets to cut the line. Bianca Belair isn't going to take that. Nor Asa, who she still has unfinished business with. That's bad management job on Adam Pearce.
Or
promise her something and give it to someone else. How does that work?
Because Bianca Belair has one last horseman, and that's Charlotte.
She gets to get her opportunity to come in SmackDown, but you know how that's going to go.
Charlotte attacked Bianca, Bianca attacked Charlotte, but Charlotte won that match against NXT on Bianca Belair.
She won, but
against Charlotte, but it kind of got delayed
Bianca
in that
attacked.
Match, so therefore,
Bianca got the best of Charlotte, trying to overlook her when she won that match and attacked Charlotte on SmackDown, just like Charlotte did to her on NXT, and won as women's champion for the other brawl from last week on SmackDown. Charlotte and Bianca pretty much square. SmackDown prediction and results.
Remain the world heavyweight champion like he's been doing against Finn Balor.
And he did as Seth freaking Rollins, World Heavyweight Champion, Monday Night Rollins over Finn Balor, which took him 7 years to fail against Seth Rollins.
Make sure that ain't happening in his house on NXT. You just meant that Seth Rollins got the best of you. Finn Balor won. First ever Universal Championship in WWE history against Seth
First ever Universal Champion, Finn Balor, then World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins over Balor on Raw. Balor attacked him on Raw. Seth returned the favor. Camilla wasn't letting him get involved after winning that match, including the tag teams last NXT, and Seth handling him about Money in the Bank, including everybody that could have get a part of him. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had his back when they tried to attack him after Dominic in the WWE Live from Finn Balor attacking him then too. Getting the best of kicking it out of Voodoo Dust for Women's Champion. That wasn't stopping him that night.
Gives him a message after her main against Brian Baker that he is the NXT still today first ever NXT champion and now World Heavyweight Champion.
First NXT said Seth freaking Rollins. And Carmelo did have his back. So I think now it's time for Seth to have Carmelo's back. That way he's in deep trouble with the Judgment Day. Maybe this coming Raw.
That pretty much solved it right there. In that category.
And Braun Breaker did have a dominate moment with Carmelo. Now it's about Seth and here's in the Judgment Day.
The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes sending a message to Brock Lesnar.
And he did.
The victory over Dominic
and he did. He beat Dominic for shenanigans. He beat Brock, who returned on Raw on a bad night for the American Nightmare. He was ready.
And I think Miss Money in the Bank will be Becky Lynch.
Should have been.
Bex, who's been training for it.
Has been. Another good idea. First ever to enter in the Money in the Bank, Zelina Vega, Big Time Bex trained her way to get the revenge on Trish Stratus, but ended up being Io Shirai, Genius in the Sky. I mean, it wasn't. I wanted it to be Ricochet, but it was Damian Priest. That's better than it being Logan Paul, though, so, because nobody wanted that to happen. They all booed him before he even came out. What the hell is this about? No, everybody else has worked and earned their way in there. You got to do the same thing, no matter who you are. You just get to sit on the pedestal, call yourself a name, and get to jump the line of all the work that other people have done and put on there for you to do that. So you got to respect the company and them a little bit.
Missing anything right here at the top of my head. Those are the main things.
Except that question mark idea. Not really.
The bloodline. The Usos, since they've been down since day one.
Usos always had each other's back since day one as the Uso Penitentiary.
3 years. Plus, let Phil know you're with us as brothers or you with him as cousins. But either way, the Usos been down with each other since day one.
And they have been. And they did down like their cousin and their brother for betraying them and Universal W Chairman Roman Reigns. And it was a crazy match.
The headline will be the Usos and Roman.
It did dominate the match on Money in the Bank, but the headlines of Jey Uso being Roman Reigns.
Be sure to watch this. Be sure to like. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to follow on Instagram and YouTube.
I don't do crazy much, just the blood on the Usos just destroying each other back and forth from that moment as well. So with that being said, with that being done, we're gonna wrap this up. I pretty much talked about everything we needed to and wanted to. With Jey Uso being the new Charlie T prediction. And he did because he didn't get to challenge Dominic because he got all haywire. Everybody wants a shot at Rollins, baby. And they keep losing. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had his back. And he did over Brock Lesnar, who returned for a beatdown on American Nightmare this time. So, with that being said, let's get into the SmackDown results and Money in the Bank results. Let's wrap this video up. They touch it. Crazy Taylor's economics, word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm pushing you to feel me. Crazy economics, word life. The zoo. Fireworks was awesome, as was Memorial Day. On the park, the fireworks was good. Even if it's been down, I had my family and friends with the fireworks. Next door at the neighbors was awesome. Had a great 4th of July. I hope the rest of y'all had a great 4th of July. Not like some things to throw nonsense, not like some family, friends, alcohol, food, fireworks, Zoo Memorial Day. Enjoyed my fireworks and food and drinks for my 4th of July 2023 was off the roof. So I hope you guys also had a great 4th of July as well. It's Zelina Vega watching Sonya Deville defeating Shanti, who's been on SmackDown, and now it was a good match happening here. And Io Shirai winning that opportunity of the gradual match of it all for now she's missed Money in the Banks. Raw SmackDown, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, despite the domination on SummerSlam, pretty dead since they came to SmackDown. And with Butch and Solo having that match after the attack and Grayson Waller welcoming in with Charlotte and Bianca Belair's kind of waiting in line, especially when she was promised an opportunity and didn't get it. They would be mad too, and anybody in that position would have been like, well, you said this or that, and you didn't do it. Really brings out that anger in her, and she has every right to feel that way, that she does. And let's rest, since this is the reality. No, but I will never stop. Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian Priest. Women's champion over Natalya, Rhea Ripley. Seth freaking Rollins being Dominic, and no matter Voodoo Dust was going to stop him. Nor the attack of Finn Balor was going to stop him from remaining World Heavyweight Champion Finn Balor at Money in the Bank. Or when it all went haywire, everybody wanted a shot at him. And Carmella stuck out for him within the process of that one and going back and forth on Raw. And then after the match, he would to have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn by his side, even up the odds, despite the outcome. And Shayna Baszler, that was a shocking moment going against her partner Ronda Rousey. Reality, they never lost. Tag Team Women's Champion Raquel and Liv. I would not be a liar. See the facts. Rollins Champion Seth Rollins. They did steal the night, but of course the headliner was Jay Uso defeating Roman Reigns. He's been helping him for 3 years, so he would be the one to decrown him after 3 years. I mean, it makes perfectly good sense. John Cena making his return, the American Nightmare, defeating once and for all John for everything he's put him through. Well, it's more shenanigans, not really any domination like him and Brock Lesnar. On the Grass Survivor Sugar actually just for John Cena. Hey, there you go. We'll have a chance to step around and lurking on the side. Still lurking on him would it be Damian Priest. That's it. That's all, folks. Thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe on Instagram and YouTube. Check out my for the last 3 weeks on the road to Money in the Bank podcast. With you watching, like, subscribing on Instagram and YouTube, you'll be able to check that. And you'll also, and additionally, for also doing that, you will get a new rapping video I have released. So go ahead and check that out while you're out. And then I updated my hosting my interviews, podcasts, entertainment, and acting as well. To watch live on subscribe on Instagram, YouTube after Money in the Bank for this podcast. And I will see you guys in my next last podcast for this last week. Peace.